is tonight for Sabres goalie Darren Pupa.
Mike is next with that and an explanation of how a Bengal can rip up a Buffalo.
Somehow you needed me.
A voice in the night. A night you'll always remember.
We're gonna do some old hits for you tonight. And if I could, you know that I would fly away.
A little good news for Anne Murray fans.
A little good news today.
A night with Anne Murray. You haven't really heard her until you've seen her in concert.
Say I love you, but I don't know what it means.
If you have diabetes and use insulin, call toll-free 1-800-445-8000. Please write it down. And save up to $6 on 200 BD insulin syringes with the BD Microfine 3 needle, the thinnest, finest, sharpest insulin syringe needle ever made for unequaled injection comfort. Call now, 1-800-445-8000, and save up to $6 on BD insulin syringes.
If you believe in saving on your favorite names, see for yourself. You can believe in Ames.
Value Days at Ames means great savings on wanted items like famous Lee jeans for everyone in the family. Men, boys, juniors, junior petite. Ames has great selections of Lee jeans in all sizes at low Value Days sale prices. Remember,
You can believe in Ames.
He knows every heartbeat of the Sheriff's Department. As Undersheriff for the last 8 years, Tom Higgins has ably assisted Sheriff Braun in managing the day-to-day operations of the Erie County Sheriff's Office. From one end of the county to the other, in the farm communities, the suburbs, and the city, Tom Higgins is in touch every day. With his help, the Sheriff's Department has become one of the most professional law enforcement agencies in our state. Let's keep it that way. Keep the professional behind the badge. Elect Higgins Sheriff.
Well, Mike's here to tell us about the Bills, among other things.
Must I?
The bad news Bills.
Starting the second half of the season, once again, Mike, the Bills playing well in the first half. For the second straight Sunday, the Bills blowing this one. In the second half, once leading 10-0, the Bills giving up 23 unanswered points and losing 23-17 to Cincinnati, 25,600 at the stadium. A very wet afternoon. Once again, Bills starting strong first quarter. Big hole for Greg Bell off the left side. He waltzes through 14 yards for the score. 7-0 Buffalo. It was 10-zip when Scott Norwood finally missed a field goal. He had gone 10 straight without a miss. This one grazing the left upright. That seemingly giving Cincy life. 3rd and 10. Boomer Esiason avoiding the rush. Lets her fly. Derek Burrows and Eddie Brown go up for it. Brown coming down with it, 68 yards for the score. The extra point is blocked. 10-6 Bills at the half. Second half, total domination by the Bengals. Opening drive, Cincy eating up almost 7 minutes. Esiason to a wide open ML Harris. Bengals take the lead 13-10. But the big load was fullback Larry Kinnebrew. 30 carries, 128 yards, including this short TD. It's 23-10 Cincinnati. Bulla takes Ferragamo out. Bruce Matheson coming in, throws one interception. And this TD to Eason Ramson with just 4 seconds left. 23-17 the final. Matheson 5 of 10, Ferragamo 7 of 23. Afterwards, Ed Kigore was there when the coach talked about the quarterback situation.
Hell, there's always question in everybody's mind. I'm not going to sit up here and just throw the flak on one guy, man. I'm not made that way. I'm not going to do that. You want me to say I'm going to put it, I'm not going to do that because it's a combination of things.
The first ball I threw to Greg Bell was on an option route, and I sailed it over his head, and I said, oh my goodness, you know, don't do that stuff. And so you just come back in the huddle and say, okay, here we go. Now let's get settled down.
They've made a lot of changes. You know, I guess the quarterback would be another change, one of the many changes they've made in the past, but I'm not going to let it get me down. I still believe in myself as a player.
Alrighty, next Sunday, the Houston Oilers come to Rich Stadium. They'll come to town with a 3-game winning streak. This afternoon, John Makovic and his KC Chiefs falling victim. Quarterback Warren Moon, a big afternoon, 255 yards passing. And this TD pass to Drew Hill. Houston wins at 23-20 and now tied for first in the AFC Central. In Green Bay, a new twist to the William Perry story. Big number 72 can do more than just run over people. The refrigerator catching this 4-yard pass. Bears still unbeaten, beating the Pack 16-10. Let's go to the board. So the Bills now 1-8, Houston 4-5. The Jets on top in the AFC East. The Patriots with a late TD beat Miami. You saw the Bears win Minnesota a field goal as time expired to beat Detroit. The Giants keeping Tampa Bay winless, and Washington buried the Falcons by 34. San Fran 24-13 over the Eagles. The Rams by 10 over the Saints. Seattle stunning the Raiders. San Diego destroyed Denver. One other game, Pittsburgh nipping Cleveland 10-9. The Sabres returning back from the coast, and although the trip was so-so, good news for goalie Darren Pupa. Today, Pupa was named NHL Player of the Week. No great surprise, Pupa only shutting out the Edmonton Oilers in his first pro start. Congratulations, Darren. As we said, the team arriving back tonight, just one win in 3 starts out west. The Sabres now 6-5 and 1, third place in the Adams division. Rick Sealing recapping the trip for Stu Boyer.
The game in Calgary, we just didn't put our best foot forward, and then we turned it around, and it just seemed, you know, I thought the game in Vancouver, we worked really hard. Things just didn't go our way. Some calls that went against us, some bad breaks. I think we had 3 or 4 posts in tight on the goaltender, and, you know, things just didn't go our way in Vancouver. But I thought the effort was there, and I thought, you know, it wasn't a case of quitting. We kept trying, and it hasn't seemed to go our way.
All righty, NHL tonight, Philly, Edmonton, and St. Louis all winners.
And Sports Extra
is coming up next.
All right, thank you, Michael. Well, still to come, Humphrey heads home. We'll be right
back. It'll work on your dandruff. Yeah, but I'm afraid it won't leave my hair the way I like it. Hey, this is great stuff.
Today's Head & Shoulders.
It's all I use. Okay.
Tough dandruff protection that works only on your scalp, not your hair. Gentle conditioners go there.
Tough on dandruff, right?
But great on hair.
Today's Head & Shoulders. Dandruff care that's good for your hair.
In Italy, whenever there's a celebration, you're bound to find Italian pie. At Pizza Hut, we now bake our own Italian pies. We call them Priazzo. Come, celebrate with us. Celebrate with a free pitcher of Pepsi-Cola or other soft drink when you buy a medium or large Priazzo Italian pie. Priazzo and a free pitcher of Pepsi. Only in America, and only at Pizza Hut.
Did you ever taste mouth-watering southern fried catfish? Well, come on by.
Did you ever taste tender Maine lobster meat? Well, come on up.
Did you ever taste the magic of Louisiana shrimp creole? Well, come on down.
To get a taste of all these places, just come on over to Red Lobster. We have 5 new combination platters from all across America. The seafood tastes of America at Red Lobster. They're a lot closer than you think.
Right now at City Mattress, save 10 to 50% on everything you need to sleep. Bed frames to adjustable beds, water beds to brass beds, and hundreds of hider beds. There's bed sacks, pillows, and the finest mattresses and box springs made today. And these guys will deliver anything and even set it up free. Save 10 to 50% during our clean sweep clearance. You want the feeling? You got it.
Finally tonight, Humphrey the Wrong Way Whale is finally headed in the right direction, back to the ocean. The humpback whale has spent the last 24 days in the Sacramento River, apparently lost on his migration south for the winter. But Humphrey literally raced downstream today after scientists played tape-recorded whale sounds from an underwater speaker. He's now in San Francisco Bay, heading towards the Golden Gate Bridge and the ocean. Good for Humphrey.
I think so. I understand he has quite a crowd of well-wishers. They'll miss him.
Yeah.
Well, you'll miss us, too. It's time for us to go. Sports Extras next, hopefully.
Good night.
Darren Pupa serves notice to the National Hockey League, the sports plays of the month, and our question, just for fun, who do you want to see as the Bills' starting quarterback next week? Do you want to see Vince Ferragamo, Bruce Matheson, or rookie Frank Reich, healthy but currently on injured reserve? Call in your opinion at 716-644-9815. All this and more coming up on Sports Extra. Hockey League, the sports plays of the month, and our question, just for fun, Who do you want to see as the Bills' starting quarterback next week? Do you want to see Vince Ferragamo, Bruce Matheson, or rookie Frank Reich, healthy but currently on injured reserve? Call in your opinion at 716-644-9815. All this and more coming up on Sports Extra.
Sports Extra, Buffalo's only half-hour sports wrap-up, with TV2 Sports Director Ed Kigore and Mike DeGeorge.
Welcome once again to Sports Extra, and boy, you know, if you could just stop the thing at the half, Bills would be awesome, wouldn't they, Mike?
Just incredible. You know, we were talking about it at halftime, Ed. We were saying the fact that the Bills had some opportunities in that first half to really put Cincinnati away. They didn't. We also figured that the Bengals might wear the Bills down if the game was close, and bingo. Unfortunately, I think we were right.
Well, that's right. Bills led 10-6 at the half, wound up losing at 23-17. Before we get into the highlights here, now there is obviously a quarterback controversy. I'm only surprised it took this long, but Vince Ferragamo, who had a terrible day, completed less than a third of his passes, but to me, the battle was won up front.
Yeah.
Bengals' huge offensive line blew the Bills off the ball second half, control the football, and that's where you have to start. I think the Bills' offensive line has to get beefed up a little bit as well.
Boomer Esiason made a good point after the game. He thought that offensively, the Bengals' offensive line was 30 pounds heavier than the Bills across the defensive line. Now, you start to get down towards late in the game, and that wears on you.
Well, plus, when you have a 255-pound fullback, or some say 270, anyway, he is certainly a load. One more time now, that question for you tonight. Now, this is kind of just for fun, but we'd like to see what you think. I'm sure Hank Bulla will base a lot of his decision on what you fans think here. We want to know, do you think that next week against Houston here, Vince Ferragamo, Bruce Matheson, or Frank Reich, who is currently on injured reserve, but he's healthy and has been practicing, and who knows, maybe he'll be activated. But there's the number, 644-9815. Let us know what you think. Now let's take a look at the first half highlights. Another crummy day, and at least we had 25,640 fans show up despite the rain. Bills defense, tough early. Bruce Smith and Lawrence Johnson sacked Boomer Esiason on third down. They were fired up. Later, Steve Freeman will strip the ball away from Larry Kennebrew. Again, the program says he weighs 255. Some people say it's more like 270. Bruce Smith would recover the football, and this time the Bills would take advantage of the turnover. Greg Bell will take it in from 14 yards out after Ferragamo completes a pass to Jerry Butler to start the drive, and here's the touchdown to Bell. Makes a nice cut outside, and Greg is gone. Now, Freeman, a little bit later on, twisted an ankle, and he was actually out of the ball game the rest of the way. It happened on this play. However, after the game, Steve told me that the ankle is okay, and he expects to be ready to play next week against Houston, but it certainly caused some concern as Freeman, the team's starting strong safety, limped off.
Well, I tried to get up and see if it would go, and it just, it wouldn't. So we come in and x-ray to make sure there was nothing wrong with it. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It's just a sprain. Something happens, and if you're a defensive back and you can't run all out, there's no sense going out there and trying to hurt the team or anything.
Well, the Bills kept up the defensive pressure. Derek Burrows tips an Esiason pass, and Guy Frazier is right there and picks up the interception. Donald Wilson knocks him down, but Frazier gets up anyway. And this drive, however, would bog down as rookie Andre Reed would drop a ball over the middle. And you don't see Andre do this very often. And afterwards, I asked the normally sure-handed rookie receiver what happened, and he had a rather unusual answer.
I think with the wetness and the way they're made, they weren't really good for catching, and I was really frustrated myself and for dropping the ball like that, because I seldom drop balls like that. As a matter of fact, I never drop balls like that.
And he was talking about the gloves he had on. But Scott Norwood made it 10 for 10 from 43 yards out into the wind. It's 10-0 Bills. The Bills then drove again, and the big play in the drive, Ferragamo, this comes on third down, spots Greg Bell out of the backfield. This play covers 45 yards. That's Bell's longest reception in his career. However, Norwood, who had been perfect, as the Bills' drive then bogged down, Norwood with a chip shot field goal that would have given the Bills a 13-0 lead. And you can just listen to what happens here. Clink, it hits the upright, and the streak ends at 10. The crowd did cheer, however, as Norwood came off showing a bit of class, and I asked him what happened.
I considered it a pretty short kick, and it was just mechanics was the reason that I missed it. It'd be very rare in practice, especially in a game that I'd miss a kick like that. I was just stood a little tall on it and caused me to hook. Didn't get over the ball.
Well, then the key play of the first half of the Bills is 3rd and 10. Esiason rolls left and goes deep to super rookie Eddie Brown. He beats another first-rounder, and Derek Burrows, and takes it in for the touchdown. And the University of Miami star talked about it after the game.
You know, I was able to just, you know, make the catch. It was a good read off Boomer part, being able to make that long throw such as he did.
I thought I had knocked the ball down until I looked around. He had it going in the end zone with it, but it was my fault, and I missed the receiver, and I just got to get better.
Well, Derek's going to be a good one anyway. The Bills' final drive of the half ended when Ferragamo threw one up for grabs to Greg Bell. And on this play, the free safety, James Griffin, you'll see him come in and pick it off. However, things were looking pretty good as the Bills went into the dressing room with a 10-6 lead. But, Mike, it's almost like the week before and the week before and the week before. For some reason, the Bills aren't able to adjust at the half. Now, one thing you have to look at, too, is emotion. Now, last week in Philly, a lot of people say, well, why did the Bills quit playing in the fourth quarter? It wasn't exactly like that. Yeah. The Eagles suddenly got some momentum and started playing maybe to level up here, whereas before they had been down here. I think the same thing kind of happened to the Bengals. They have I would say, definitely more talent than the Bills, and it showed in that second half.
Well, the Bills have certainly had their problems in the second half, not just today or last week in Philly, but all season. Opponents have outscored the Bills 100-11 to 49 in the second half. Aren't going to win many games like that. Second half, it was the running game that got Cincinnati back into this one. 3rd and 1, Kennebrew bulls his way for 10 yards, 30 carries, 128 yards for the big guy. That helps lead to this touchdown. Boomer Esiason with a fine fake reverse finds M.L. Harris wide open in the end zone. He said the fake reverse caught the Bills a bit off guard.
Figured that we'd be able to get a few guys to bite, namely the free safety, and we sure did. Eddie made a great fake on it, and ML was just running wide open. And, you know, it's just one of those plays where if it works, boy, it looks great. And if it doesn't work, you know, it could really be one of those flops. But it worked well, and, you know, ML was so wide open, all I do is try to get near him.
That he was wide open. That would give the Bengals the lead at 13-10, a lead they would never give up. Now, Ferragamo did not have one of his better days. That's putting it mildly. He is pressured here by the Bengals. He tries to avoid the rush, but he ends up running right into Timmy Vogler. Vince was 7 of 23 on the day. That got Bruce Matheson warming up on the sidelines, but the Bills' defense wasn't getting the job done. Still getting blown away at the line of scrimmage. James Brooks right up the gut for 16 yards. That would help set up this touchdown run by Kennebrew. 1 yard, giving the Bengals a 20-10 third quarter lead. Kennebrew talked about his great second half after a first half fumble in the opening first half.
Well, you know, I came and I had a few good runs, you know, thanks to my offensive line and my backs blocking for me, you know. It was a pretty nice second half.
We knew we had to have a little more ball control. We just were really sputtering offensively the first half, and you know, we took it against amongst ourselves and said we got to get something rolling here, and we finally did do that in the third quarter, and we got a couple good drives out of it.
That was big offensive lineman Anthony Munoz. Now, after the TD, things go from bad to worse right after that. Ensuing kickoff, Anthony Steele, newly acquired from San Diego, has the jitters, or maybe the wetters, and this afternoon he bobbles it. The Bengals will recover. That will lead to a breach field goal, making it 23-10. Bruce Matheson came in on his second pass. He is picked off right there by Robert Jackson. Bruce did come back with just 4 seconds remaining. He hit Eason Ramson for the 4-yard score. Too little, too late. But Matheson talked about playing today.
It was. You know, anytime you get a chance to play, you want to make sure you do real well out there. And it was. You got to make it fun. If it's not fun, you shouldn't be out here. And I just want to play and try to help the team as best I can. Thank you.
So 23-17 the final. After the game, Hank Bullough was to the point about the turning point in this one.
I think probably the turning point in the ball game was the ability of them to control the ball for us and right in that stretch in the third quarter and not give our offense more of a chance.
First half we played very well, and we came back out the second half. I don't know, we just didn't play as good as we did the first half, and they started running the ball on us, and they got 5 yards of crack, and we're just gonna learn how to. We're gonna have to learn how to play better, the second half of a football game, and until we do that, we won't beat anybody.
This is a good football team, and a lot of people have been, people in football know that the Buffalo Bills are right on the edge. They're the addition of with Bell and Cribbs in the backfield. Their high draft choices are coming around. This is a young ball club. He's building right now.
I know a lot of you guys in the Bengals had no Hank Bullock, played for him. Any extra coming into this game?
Yeah, I think people really saw it as a challenge because I, for one, practiced against this defense for a lot of years, and he really does a good job. I think he's going to be successful here. He'll need a little time, but he's going to be successful, and for that reason, all of us gave a little something extra today. We didn't want to have to walk away from one losing to Hank today.
Well, I have to agree with Steve. I think Hank is also going to be a successful coach, but he's got a little bit of a problem right now he'd rather not have. It's really no surprise. The Bills have a full-fledged quarterback controversy. The only real surprise is that it has taken this long. Although not all the Bills' offensive problems are Ferragamo's fault, a view not held by most Bills fans, his costly interceptions and inconsistency throwing downfield are the reason he ranks dead last in NFL quarterback rankings. The 25,640 range-wrench fans cheering loudly when backup Bruce Matheson came on in the fourth quarter, and after a shaky start with an interception, Matheson looked sharp, directing a late touchdown drive. Hank Bullock took the offense after the game before the media could even ask about the quarterback situation.
The young guy came in and moved the ball, and as far as someone wants me to say, well, who's starting next Sunday, I'm not going in a position to say who's starting next Sunday, so I save a lot of questions to people that want to ask me that, so I just answer it in one big scoop. All right. Because I wouldn't tell you anyway, because why would I tell you who I'm starting next Sunday, Bill? Let the other team get ready for it.
Unlike many of the Bills who ducked post-game interviews in a growing display of lack of class, Ferragamo faced the music.
Well, it's a team game, you must remember. Quarterback is only one member of the team, and you're only as good as the team is. And I feel that a lot of changes have been made. Different positions, different areas of the football team. And, quarterback's probably another thing. You say, hey, well, what about the quarterback? And I can understand people second-guessing it. But here I've worked long and hard all season long trying to, put up with all the bad things that have been going around and just working hard to try to overcome those things. And it's just a matter of time before that will happen, and we'll be a better club. But when they start changing quarterbacks, they start creating a lot of dissension, a lot of split opinions on the team, and, which is bad. But I don't think, I think it was good for Bruce today to come and get some good work.
Given the situation, they weren't blitzing and they weren't dogging and they weren't. I didn't have the pressure that Vince had during the course of a ball game, and it's kind of an unfair test. At the same time, though, as long as you complete the balls, I guess that's what counts, and try to get points on the board. So, again, we'll just have to wait and see.
I raised another question for Bulla that seemed to touch a nerve. Hank, is there a possibility you might activate Frank Wright during the week?
Frank Wright? Yeah. I tell you, you just hit me right in the eye. I don't really think so. I don't know. Before you activate him, you have to put somebody down.
Well, and he means make room on the roster, of course, but the quarterback controversy continues, which leads us to the question once again. Who do you think should be the Bills' starting quarterback next week? We'd like to hear what you fans think. Vince Ferragamo, Bruce Matheson, or Frank Reich, who is still on injured reserve but is healthy and is ready to play or able to play. And there is the number. Now, still to come on Sports Action, we'll look at the Bills' special teams.
But first, a look at today's game stats.
Are you tired of losing to criminals? I'm Mike D'Amico, the Democrat for District Attorney, and I believe we can win the fight against crime. 2 out of every 3 contested felony cases in Erie County have been lost by the district attorney. More than 140 felony indictments have been dismissed in 1985 alone. I'm not satisfied with that record. Are you?
On November 5th, elect D'Amico. DA. D'Amico. DA. D'Amico. DA. The Democrat for district attorney.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Kill for me.
And this time he has a special surprise.
It started to happen again. Dad! I'm troubled. You've had some scary dreams, okay?
A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2. Freddy's Revenge. Rated R from New Line Cinema.
She's out there, just around the corner. And any day now, Princess Snowflake will strike again. This year, be prepared with a 4x4 from Ford. Full-sized pickups, Rangers, Broncos, Bronco 2s. Go in the snow with Ford. And now put your 4x4 to work for you with special plowing packages installed by your Ford dealer. This year, don't let winter get you down. Fight back with a 4x4 from Ford. See your Western New York Ford dealer today.
In this world, it's little things that keep two people apart.
My flight leaves at 8:30. I wish you'd come with me.
You know, we've been through this before.
Fortunately, something always seems to bring them together, which is why there's Dentine. You see, not even mouthwash can freshen your breath better than when you're chewing Dentine.
When the whole wide world for you narrows down to just you. Wash your breath with Dentine.
Since Hank Bulla has taken over the Bills as head coach, the team has improved in just about every aspect of the game, and perhaps the special teams have shown the most dramatic turnaround. Sports Extra's Stu Boyer has more on that.
A few short weeks ago, special teams were one of the darkest spots in a dark season. Since Hank Bulla's first week, special teams have shown steady improvement. Today, they were rewarded for their fine play, being introduced before the game.
Oh, yeah, it's always a thrill that when, you know, the special teams are introduced like that.
Perryman won't admit it, but his return is one reason for the improved special teams play.
I think the addition of Jimmy Perryman really sparked the special team, and that's made the difference because I think the guys see what it takes to make it happen.
I think the coach has done a good job on getting the chemistry right with the people, you know, shifting people in right areas and getting everybody coming down the right time. Right? Like in the beginning of the year, I don't think the best people are in the best positions to play that certain spot, you know, and I think they got that down good now.
Good special teams play can be worth perhaps 2 to 4 wins a year. The Bills aren't there yet, but are certainly headed in the right direction.
We were, you know, hoping that we could win the game on the special teams, come up with some big plays to help us out. And we came up with a few, but we need a little bit more.
Now, since I'm playing special team and that's part of my job, you know, I'll make sure I try my best every time I'm going down the field, you know, just like all other guys are going to do. So special teams is going to be great here.
At Rich Stadium, Stu Boyer, Sports Extra.
Component parts working in today's 20-0 shutout of the Houston Oilers. Bruce Matheson played well in his first NFL start. The defense allowed Houston just 40 yards passing. And once again, the special teams came up with the big plays. All the more impressive when you consider the game was played in conditions like that. 21,800 soggy fans. Bills lead 3-0 in the first. Matheson showing his mobility. Takes off 18 yards on the ramble. Matheson 57 yards today. And that's setting up this Greg Bell TD. 5 plays, 51 yards. Bills lead at 10-0. Then late in the second quarter, the Bills and Bell getting a scare. Bell sweeping right. Looks as though someone stepped on the knee right there. X-ray showing a sprained left knee. Bell did not return for the rest of the game. Bills lead 13-0 in the third. Defense coming up big. Derek Burrows picking off this Warren Moon pass. Moon 3 interceptions on the day, just 3 of 14 overall. Then Bruce does it again. On the move, 11 yards down the middle. But this time, Oilers safety Bo Eason meeting him head-on. Matheson shakes it off, though, and comes right back a few plays later. In for the score, the Bills will win at 20-0. Their first shutout since 1982. Afterwards, Hank Bulla telling Ed Kigore he liked Matheson's leadership.
Command of the team out on the field. I think he kind of ran the huddle, which Vince did too, but when you get a young guy in there for the first time, he's starting, sometimes he's a little apprehensive of, you know, he's going to get his own stuff going and not worry about the other people, what they do. But I think that I'd say that was my greatest pleasure with him of command of the game.
The defense went out and did a great job. And they held them scoreless, and our special teams did a good job keeping them in poor field position all week, and it was a total team effort for this one today.
All righty, Bruce, you have dead after a serious car accident earlier this morning. Doctors say the hope for recovery.
Nothing. We had a lot of fun a little while ago. We were scurrying around here with Mike DeGeorge trying to find out when the last time the Bills and Sabres won on the same day, and Mike got to beat us. Yeah, at home, and it was 1983, October 30th. The Bills beat New Orleans that day, and the Sabres beat Montreal. Now, the Bills were doing not a very good job of holding up that end of the deal, we might point out. Great effort today, though. Bills win it again, as we say, 20-0 under just terrible conditions. Good job by Bruce Matheson. The defense did a great job, and the special teams once again did it too.
Right, Ed. I think the key to this ball game, if there had to be one, was the fact that the Bills defense did its job up front. That was to stop the Houston running game, which wasn't real good to begin with. But then they forced Warren Moon to pass the ball. He'd been used to throwing in 72-degree weather down under the Astrodome the last 3 games, and he simply couldn't come back once they got behind so far.
Well, a good win for the Bills, so let's take a look now at some of the first half highlights. 21,881 hearty souls were in cold and rainy Rich Stadium for this one, and Hank Bulla was dressed for the occasion. A terrible start for the Bills. Anthony Steele fumbled the opening kickoff. Hey, that's 2 games in a row he's done that, and the opportunistic Oilers were in business. This club very good at causing turnovers, but Moon is intercepted in the end zone by Charles Romes. Excellent play by Chaz Romes, and he told me after the game he was very happy because the Oilers could have taken a lot of momentum with an early touchdown in this condition.
They were down in our territory, and it probably would have gave them a little bit more momentum if they had scored, but we were in a zone coverage on that particular play, and they tried to spread our defense and got a good read on the quarterback and happened to make the play.
And a good play it was, his 4th interception. Well, John Kidd, who kept Houston in poor field position all day, had this one dropped by Jeff Donaldson. Madlow recovered, and the Bills in business at the Oilers' 14-yard line. Matheson, though, is sacked right here on the quarterback keeper. Actually, I don't think he meant to throw that ball. He counted as a sack. He was sacked 5 times in the first half, but Scott Norwood, perfect from 24 out, 3-0. That's Norwood's 11th out of 12 tries. Later in the first quarter, Matheson shows an added dimension here. His first start of the season, he scrambles for 18 yards, and that was the key play in a 51-yard drive for the Bills. Greg Bell, who was later injured and had to leave the game, takes it in for a 10-0 Buffalo lead. Now, Bell was actually injured on a sweep left in the second quarter, and he did try it a couple more times. This was the play he was originally injured on, and you can see why, as he is really cut out from under right there. And he tried to run a couple more times, later found he just couldn't go on, and I talked to Greg about it in the locker room.
We don't think it's too serious. I just caught a part of the nerve and strained the ligament, so, you know, the knee locked up on me pretty bad, and, you know, just there's not a lot of swelling in it, so that's a good sign also.
This was the 5th game in a row the Bills led at halftime. It was 10-0, but this time there was a lot different attitude in the locker room because, as you may know, the Bills had blown it 3 of the first 4 times.
I tell you what, it was a totally different attitude coming out in the second half, and I can't explain it to you, but if you'd have been out there in the huddle and heard all the talking and the conversation and how bad we wanted to win the game, it was like totally different people was out there playing from this game into last game, and we just tried to, you know, keep playing hard.
The attitude in the locker room at halftime was like, hey, let's just go out there and just, you know, stomp them down and just keep going at them, and we'll come out on top, and that's what happened.
And there you hear it, Wes, from a couple rookies, and that's part.
Came out smoking in the second half, determined to keep it that way. And on the second play now from scrimmage of the second half, Fred Smerlis recovers a fumble. Larry Moriarty, the usual battering ram from Houston, lost the handle on it, and the Bills were in business this time again from the Houston 25, though they would have to settle for 3 points. Deadeye Norwood hits his 12th and 13 attempts, and the Bills go up by a count of 13-0. That was a 23-yarder. Now Moon not having a good day, not having any kind of day. He was only 3 of 14. He completed just as many passes to the Bills as he did the Oilers. Had 22 yards through the air. And there was Martin Bayless with an interception. Bruce Matheson with a scramble here for 11 yards. He had 57 yards rushing today, though he'd get his bell rung right here by Bo Eason. Bruce would leave. Vince Ferragamo got in on one play, but Matheson right back in to cap the drive on a 3rd and goal from the 5. Touchdown, 20-0. Bruce said the Oilers were aggressive.
But yeah, the Oilers played a lot of enthusiasm. They're real aggressive. They fly around out there. They're not afraid to hit you.
And the Bills defense not afraid to hit either. Sean McNanny forcing Oliver Luck right here, and that was a fumble. It was not an incompleted pass. We looked at it closely. Bills won it 20-0.
Yeah, well, we knew before the game even started that we had to execute, and the weather conditions, no matter what they are, they weren't going to help us or anything.
Bruce is not a running quarterback. He's not a kind of guy that's going to panic on the first thing. You know, he's a drop-back quarterback who has the ability to move. But I agree with you. I think it really helped us for him to be able to move.
It's the weather. You know, we're going to use it to our advantage, and we like to get people in certain situations, you know, in which we could show all of our stuff and do some things that we do the best out there while they're in that situation. So that opens up a lot of things for us.
Well, we weren't even devising our defensive package, I believe, really not doing anything, you know, for Matheson or Ferragamo. We figured we were just going to try to contain whatever quarterback was in there, play the receivers tough, and concentrate on stopping the Cribbs and Bell.
And they weren't able to do that. Rod Cush, of course, now wearing a Houston Oilers uniform, and I must say, Rod has done a dominated the Calgary Flames in a fight-filled, very rugged contest down at the odd. Sabres, 3 power play goals in the first period. Housley sets up Hanno Verda, beats rookie Mark DeMoor. It's 1-0 still in the first period, and on another power play, Verda this time spots Gilles Hamel coming across right in front. Hamel puts it away, 2-0. That's Hamel's 4th of the year. In the second period, the Flames' only goal of the night would come on a 2-man advantage, and Darren Pupa outside of that was unbeatable. Lanny McDonald pulls the trigger to make it 2-1, but later in the second period, Mike Foligno, right in front, fires in his 9th of the year. It's 3-1 Sabres. Then, on another power play, Steve Dykstra from the left point. A blast. That makes it 4-1. In the third period, the Sabres get some insurance as Sean McKenna goes behind the net with some hard work. Finds Rick Sealing all alone in front. It's 5-1 at this point. A busy night for referee Andy Van Helleman. He had to whistle 93 minutes in penalties, 43 in 1 second period melee as DeMoor got into the fracas and all. Pupa also played very, very well tonight. Jim Schoenfeld told Mike DeGeorge the Sabres remember their loss in Calgary a week ago, or a week and a half ago, rather.
That, you know, we're really starting to build on our wins now. This is 3 in a row, and we have first place in sight, and we play Boston and Quebec coming right up. So it was a very important game for us. We couldn't look past it to those games, but it was certainly a good stepping stone for us on our way to #1.
And how would you rate your own performance tonight, maybe stacked up against the other couple of ones?
It felt good out there. It's a tougher kind of game. You don't get as many shots. You got to stay in it more mentally and concentrate. They had a couple good chances. As long as you stay in there mentally, you're going to do all right.
All right, this week, the Sabres home against the Bruins on Wednesday night. That could be for first place in the Adams. Buffalo at Quebec on Saturday. You see that game here on TV2. Incidentally, we have a 2-part profile on Seymour and Nordy Knox between periods of that game Saturday night, and then Sunday, the Maple Leafs come to Buffalo.
The AHL, like the Adams division, is very, very tight right now. Hershey beat Rochester tonight 4-3, and Hershey now is within 1 point of the Amherst. We should mention the Sabres and Quebec are tied for second in the Adams division. Now Boston took sole possession of first place with a win tonight over Minnesota, the only other game in the National Hockey League tonight. First period, Neil Broughton had a little trouble with the puck here, but he finally would blast it past Doug Keynes and give the Stars a 1-0 lead, but that would be it for Minnesota. Still in the first, Bruins come back to tie it. Power play goal, who else? Charlie Simmer banging it home off a rebound of a Ray Bork shot at this point, and it's 1-1. Now, second period, Ken Lensman centers to Bill Derlego. Beat Don Beaupre, 2-1 Bruins the final. Derlego, Lensman, and Simmer, and Harry Sinnon's looking pretty much like a genius right now at Boston, Ed.
Well, some tragic news in the National Hockey League today. Philadelphia Flyers Vezina Trophy winner Pelle Lindbergh very, very seriously injured in a car crash earlier this morning. We have this report from Philadelphia.
This is the red Porsche Lindbergh was driving. The condition of the car tells the tragic story. Police say the Star Flyers goalie was traveling on Summerdale Road at 5:41 a.m. with another man and a young woman in the car. The tiny sports car smashed into this stone wall in front of the Summerdale Elementary School number 1. The car failed to negotiate a sharp turn at that point.
Car didn't flip, but he landed up there, I guess, about 20, 25 feet.
Was it upright?
Yeah, it was upright.
It didn't turn over?
It was upright, but everything was smashed in except the back.
After we pulled him out, we had pulses on all 3 victims, and as soon as we did pull Paley out, he went into cardiac arrest, and CPR was started immediately, and then we got pulses back.
Lindbergh was rushed to JFK Hospital in nearby Stratford. Flyers owner Ed Snyder and other team officials also joined Lindbergh's mother, brother-in-law, and fiancé at the hospital.
He's had a very serious injury to the brain stem, which is the bottom portion of the brain that controls our basic functions.
The fact that there was an accident at this intersection comes as no surprise to the people who live around here. They say this has been a dangerous intersection for a long time because Summerdale Road curves sharply as it turns around here. The Summerdale police say routine tests will be made to see if the accident is alcohol-related.
Subaru, #1 in total